article review, links in the description, like, comment, subscribe, or don't, up to you, and criticize. And if you do like the video, yeah, subscribe, give me a comment, I'll probably reply. Blah, 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 blah. Headline, Alyssa Milano says she's a gay man in weird tweet, doubles down on critics. So I actually kind of saw this in real time. I was looking at my Twitter and I saw a response which was retweeted by Stefan Molyneux. So yes, I've just confirmed that I am literally a Nazi. And Stefan retweeted Michelle Malkin's tweet or reply to Alyssa Milano. Michelle is gorgeous. So let's have a look at this and I'll tell you a little bit about it. Liberal actress Alyssa Milano called herself a gay man along with several other non-white, non-female categories in an odd tweet Friday evening. Yeah, it's pretty odd. So let's tell you what the tweet is. So she was replying to someone who asked Kirk, some guy called Kirk, who's unverified, so we don't have to pay him any attention at all. Go fuck yourself, Kirk. But Kirk asks, Alyssa, are you transgender? Now, I don't know what is meant by that, but I presume it's an attack. I presume it's saying, hey, Alyssa, you look like a bit of a man, that type of thing would be my guess. But I mean, Alyssa, by the way, you don't. I mean, she's always been a particularly attractive lady, in my opinion, IMO. So Alyssa replied to Kirk, Alyssa, are you transgender? Alyssa replied, I'm trans. I'm a person of color. I'm an immigrant. I'm a lesbian. I'm a gay man. I'm the disabled. I'm everything. And so are you, Kirk. Don't be afraid of what you don't know or understand. No one wants to hurt you. We are all just looking for our happily ever after. So I'll give you my take on this tweet, and then we'll have a look at what some other people say. So it is odd. I mean, it is odd, and really, I think it's poetic, or it's an attempt at poetry, and I would say that it would meet the requirements of poetry. Not saying that it's great poetry or anything like that. It's pretty awful poetry, but I think that's what she's going for. I'm not smart enough to be able to describe exactly what I mean, but she's basically, she's been very lovey-dovey. She's been esoteric. I think that's probably the best word. She's been very vague, and she's probably just dancing around in her head, thinking about niceties. So I think she's trying to express love. Really, that's what it boils down to me. It's like a hippie vibe. She's saying, hey, life is just all about love. If you love and accept people, then that's what it's all about. That's kind of what I'm getting from it. So she's not any of the things that she says she is. She is not. She's not trans. She's not a person of color. I don't think she's an immigrant. Pretty sure she isn't. I mean, wasn't she in TV shows when she was like in her early teens? I don't think she's a lesbian. Maybe she is. I wouldn't blame her if she is. And she's not a gay man, and she doesn't seem to be disabled to me. So she's saying she is things that she's not, and we know that she's not those things. And she knows that when we read her tweet, we're going to know that she is not what she says she is in a literal sense. So she's being non-literal, which is why I say she's being poetic. I'm everything, and so are you, Kirk. So she's really telling us, I think, about her life philosophy, that we're all one, that we're all capable, that we all have power, this type of thing, which, in my mind, as I would say, a realist or someone that attempts to focus on the realities of life, or at least the realities of the life that I'm a part of, those realities which seem to have an influence on myself and restrict, my opportunities, this type of thing. She seems to have a different life view, which is that, one of unity, one of ever-flowing energy and this type of thing. I could be wrong. I don't think so. And she's entitled to that opinion. To me, it's a load of hippie nonsense claptrap. But she's not the only one to have this kind of worldview or spiritual view. I'm thinking, I'm trying not to, but I'm thinking of Russell Brand. This is the kind of rhetoric that I think he would agree with. Um, he wouldn't necessarily be as silly to have said that he's those things that he's not, because I think he would identify them as being misleading and potentially offensive. But I think the basic rhetoric Russell and other lefty hippies would go along with. And I think Alyssa's really trying to spread a word, a little bit of love. She's kind of saying, hey, Kirk, don't be a dick. Don't be a dick, Kirk. You don't have to attack me. You don't have to attack trans. Okay, fine. You don't like trans. You think that they're there to be bullied, whatever. You don't have to do that, Kirk. To me, that's what I'm getting. It's not what she said directly, but I'm picking that up. Don't be afraid of what you don't know or understand. No one wants to hurt you. We are all just looking for our happily ever after. So she's kind of encouraging Kirk to be less of a dick and to be more understanding and empathetic, particularly to trans and other minorities and things like this. So that's my interpretation. I think that's a fairly good interpretation. Um, and my view on that rhetoric, should I be correct, is that essentially it's a load of claptrap. Life does not work in these ways. Life is not about understanding. Yes, people do want to hurt us in many, many different ways, even when they don't realize that that's what they want or realize that that's what they're doing. So, Alyssa is aware of this because she's aware of the need, from her point of view, to defend minorities. If no one's out to hurt anybody, Alyssa, why are you looking to defend the minorities? That's nonsensical, yeah? There's cognitive dissonance going on there. Yeah, they're contrary to one another. Why defend those when none of us are being attacked? Or are you suggesting that only I mean, no one wants to hurt you. You're saying that it's only Kirk, and perhaps you've um, assumed his gender, that he's perhaps a man. Maybe you've assumed his color, perhaps he's white, and perhaps you're saying, Alyssa, hey, no one wants to hurt men, especially white ones. It's the minorities that are the only ones that people want to hurt. So essentially, I think Alyssa's just spouting a load of claptrap, but from a well-meaning place. So Michelle Malkin, who's a conservative commentator, very intelligent as far as I understand, very thorough in her research. I've only followed her on a few subjects, but when I have followed her, she seems to be very in depth and she's stunningly beautiful. And she replies to Alyssa saying, "You're delusional." So Michelle's pointing out, look, you're none of those things, and life is not this simplistic. Yeah, fine. You can have whatever spiritual views you want, but it's a bit of a shame that you're out here in the forefront of the media, that you get so much attention, that you're so heavily involved in these issues. You're at the Kavanaugh hearings and such. You're always commenting on this type of thing, and you don't have anything of substance to offer, Alyssa, you know. So I think Michelle's more of the mind, as is Stefan Molyneux. Look, let's look at the facts of the situation. And there's a whole host of them. There's a whole breadth of areas to examine. Let's try to come up with a better understanding of what's really going on here. Let's try to uncover some truth or truths. And why? So that we can implement strategies, policies, etc., to aid the situation. So if there are issues, particularly with trans or people of color or immigrants or lesbians, if there is homophobia, if there's anti-disabled people phobia, I don't know what that's called, then let's examine that. Let's establish how much of an issue it is, and if it's worthy of it, let's come up with some solutions. So Kurt Schlichter agrees with Michelle, seemingly, and myself. Liberals are weirdos. Well, look, I think I'm liberal. I think I'm liberal, but he basically means leftist nutbags. That's what he means. Um, Matt Walsh, who I don't know who he is, but he's verified, so he's clearly very important. He posts back in with sarcasm. I'm an apple, I'm a chair, I'm Wilford Brimley. I don't know who that is. I'm the planet Jupiter, I'm the color blue, I'm everything. I'm hallucinating, I need medication. Uh, yeah, I mean, it starts off as pure jokey adolescent sarcasm, of which I'm a fan. But yeah, he ends up kind of making a bit of a point. He's saying, "Hey, look, if I have these views, my life view is pretty far gone. It's needs to be addressed by medication or something else. I need a slap of reality." George M. Johnson, I read this one before. No, he says to Alyssa, no, you are an advocate. Be okay with that. This isn't the way to say you are with us. And I don't know who George is. He's a black man. I don't know if he's disabled. Maybe he's a gay man. I don't know. You can't just fake an experience you don't have. You don't navigate any space like these groups. This is the I don't see color approach, which is oppression and erasure. So first off, I don't know what the word erasure means. I will Google it afterwards, but not right now. I just know of the 80s band featuring, was it Jimmy Somerville? Or was it some of the other guys that were a part of Bronski Beat? Anyhow, I don't see how the I don't see color approach, how is that oppression? I don't see how that is oppression. I mean, that's people trying not to be racist, isn't it? And I mean, they're failing whilst they try to be not be racist, but I don't see how it's oppressive, regardless. Um, Graham Allen says, "Show me your work." I'm not entirely sure about what the meaning is there. Is it, Graham? Are you saying, "Hey, enough of your spouting just a few words, Alyssa. What have you actually done?" Is that what he's saying? Seems a little bit unfair. Blair Imani, no idea who she is. I believe it's a lady. I'm confident that there are better ways to show solidarity than to claim identities that do not belong to you. Yeah, I mean, that's a very good comment. Can't really knock that. Yeah, exactly. You can show solidarity, but without claiming identities. But having said that, I think it's quite obvious Alyssa wasn't being literal. I don't think she was literally claiming those identities. She was just on a wave of hallucinogenic claptrap nonsense. Alyssa replied to the hoo-ha. I'm glad this tweet invoked conversation. I'm so sorry it offended some. I see you and hear you. But just a reminder, empathy is not a bad thing. Nuance is important and literal interpretation is not always intended. And I can identify with and not identify as. Both are powerful. I quite like this tweet. I mean, I'm almost tempted to say I very much like this tweet. Um, yeah, I don't think Alyssa was being literal. I think she was being poetic, non-literal. She seems to be confirming that here. And I think this is a good point. I can identify with and not as. So I think really the only criticism at Alyssa is if you want to say that her words were clumsy and potentially offensive. But my view on that is so fucking what? I mean, if she says something clumsy and dumb, who cares? Is it really a big deal? We communicate and we say things badly. She was going for something. It worked for some people, I'm sure. It didn't work for others. Let it be. It's not a big deal. But she is being attacked because she puts herself out there as being someone that's there to support all of these minorities. And there are plenty of people that are sick of it, are sick of the self-righteous attitude that comes from Alyssa and elsewhere. Hashtag believe her. Well, hang on. Why are you calling for people en masse to ignore evidence? And to automatically believe that the accused is guilty. What about due process? She stepped in too many arguments, the wrong side of arguments, for people to have patience with her. So that's what's going on here. She's being dogpiled on, and I don't feel too sorry for her. I think Michelle, I mean, she says something arguably mean. You're delusional, but I don't know. It's fair. It's mean but fair, harsh but fair. Anyway, there's my video.